So, hello again. I asked Shivani to introduce Rildo because when I saw the proposal for his talk, I got really excited for having another Brazilian contributing with a talk to SuriCon. Rildo is actually working with Suricata for much longer than I have been, but we are in different positions because he used it to solve problems with his huge network, right? While I am on the development side. And we just met now. We didn't know each other before, so it's a pleasure to see more Brazilian folks here, and I hope to see you and your colleagues coming again next years. So Rildo works with the, I'll have to cheat to find his name in English.
Research academic network.
Yes.
Like a DFN or Renator.
I'll let him talk about it, and be very welcome in our stage.
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to me to stay here. It's something like a dream to stay here talking with people that develop Suricata. I would like to say that it's very emotional to me to be here. And my name is Rildo Souza. I am a cybersecurity analyst at RNP. RNP is academic network from Brazil. It's like DFN, Renater, SurfNet, something like that. I think that some of one know what other academic network does. And I'm working in a CSIRT at RNP. CSIRT is a security group that work to improve the security in our clients. And I have been working at CAIS since 2009. I ingressed there as intern, and I'm still working there, fortunately. And about this project, I have been working with Suricata since 2016, and I have tried to SuriCon before, but unfortunately, we don't have, and we had some economic problems to travel, but now it was possible. And again, thank you for here. Okay. And of course, I will talk about what we developed. I and my former coworker was responsible to create what we called of distributed sensor network. We put Suricata across of Brazil, and I will explain more about that. Before I talk about that project, it's important to bring some information about RNP and about CAIS, that the security team that I work. Well, regarding RNP, as I told you, is academic network from Brazil. And we have many clients in around of Brazil. It's as I told you, it's a Brazilian academic network, and the most important thing that we do is provide internet to federal universities in Brazil, and we provide internet to other federal organizations that work with research too. And it was created in 1989 for Minister of Technology of Brazil. We are a no-profit organization, it's important to say here. And nowadays we are working with another ministers too, like education and health too in Brazil. And in 2005, RNP was responsible, it was the milestone of the RNP, was responsible to implement the first Latin American fiber network. As you can see in the map, we have many we provide many types of internet connections to our clients, starting in 1 gigabit until 200 gigabits. And so it's very difficult to deal with that. And the name of our backbone is Rede IP, as you can see in the image. It's related to one of the most famous trees that we have in Brazil, that the name is IP, something like IP. So it's the name of the most important tree that we have in Brazil. And another thing about that is to show that the capacity that we have, we provide links up to 100 gigabits. One thing very important is that we have what we call point of presence in each state of Brazil. So they are something like arms of the RNP to help our clients related to any kinds of subject, networks, security, and other things. And now I will talk some words about the CAIS. CAIS is a CSIRT that I am working, and we are a coordination CSIRT of Brazilian research and education since 1997. Our main role is to coordinate information security incidents and actions to our clients. We have been established for more than 20 years, and fortunately, in 2012, we celebrated 25 years in August. The CAIS is one of the oldest CSIRT that we have in Brazil. The oldest is CERT BR, and after CAIS was created. And more things about CAIS. CAIS work with detection, resolution, and prevention network security incidents. Currently, we have been working in these subjects. In the beginning, we are just working with security incidents, but nowadays we work in subjects like security vulnerability handling, incident handling, development of CSIRT. We help to our clients to establish a CSIRT inside your network, and information security harness, and governance, risk, and compliance too. Well, now I am talking about the sensor that we created in the RNP. Well, why should we create this sensor in RNP? As I told you, network built-in has more than 500 gigabits, and we have more than 1,500 clients in the RNP, because we have many federal universities around of Brazil. And we have a highly diversified environment, networks, technology, and maturity of customer security teams. Our clients have diversified knowledge about security, about network. One thing very interesting about that is we have some universities where the security analyst is the same that help teacher with problems with internet, and help students with problem with login and password. So it's very difficult to deal with security problems in the real life. And so this is one we think that we need to create a sensor. Another thing is about in the past and before 2016, we depended a lot of our partners to receive some feeds about incident and vulnerabilities in our customers. So we think that we need to increase our capacity to detect malicious activities. And so this is I'm thinking to create that. And last but not least important, understand and support better the security actions from our clients. As I told, we don't have many employees in the universe, so it's very difficult to them to understand exactly incidents and problems that they have there. And now I am talking about the requirements that that the sensor should be. Well, when we think about the sensor, we think that to put that sensor in the universe and collect the data and send it to us to identify if it's not malicious or if they take care about that. One thing important here is that when we created this tool, we had another tool that contained a database of all networks that we have, the database of all networks that our clients have, and the security contact of universes that we are our clients. So we put together these two systems to improve the services to our clients. And when we think about the sensor, as I told you, we have many problems there with employees. We think that it should be plug and play, scalable, and free software. Of course, we are from academic network, so we encourage the use of the free software in our clients. We support them with that. And another thing very important is a minimal possible maintenance. It should be easy to administration. Because we think that our intention was for this tool to be installed and work by itself afterwards. Because as I told, we don't have people inside the universe that have a know-how to deal with that. And what is the sensor CAIS V1? When I submitted it to participate of the SuriCon, I think it was in 2018. The version that I will show there is, that I tried to show there, it was the V1. And the V1, what is the CAIS sensor? It's a blend of a lot of platforms. We use Suricata, we use Linux, we use shell script because in the past I don't have a know-how to develop in another language than shell script. Nowadays I have a little know-how to create some scripts in Python. But in the beginning, I just have a know-how to create that in shell script. PHP and Apache and MySQL. What we created? We created an image of the Suricata with all of the technology without PHP, because PHP I will explain before how it works, and Apache too. But the Suricata engine is a blend of, sensor is a blend of the Suricata and Linux and scripts that we use. And now we changed some things because we identify many problems with the version that we had in the past. And we use nowadays, we change some things like we change PHP to Java. Why we changed that? We changed that because nowadays we have a person that works with us that he has a know-how to program, to develop in Java. So we changed because that. And we changed the scripts that we created in shell script to Python now. And of course, we need to change the database because MySQL, in the past, we suffered a lot about data because we received a lot of data. And I will explain more about the sensor that we created. as I said before, the sensors are a blend of Suricata, Python script, and Linux image. So we provide that to our clients, and they install that in their network, and they communicate with us. I will explain more how it works. And when we think about the sensor, we think that it should be a friendly user interface because we will send that image to our clients and they will install that in the environment that they have. Plug and play, as I told, and less technical knowledge required. We think that the people that is receiving our sensor, they don't have a know-how exactly about the security, about the networks. Sometimes they work just to support clients in the company. And so we think that the sensor, one thing very important is about the knowledge that we need to require that. And low maintenance and report, another thing very important is that we think that we don't expect that our customers need to looking for the problem with the sensor and, oh, I identified that it doesn't work, I need the support to fix that. When we create this sensor, we think, oh, if they have some problem, they will ask us, and we will fix that for them. And the way that we do it is just to replace the sensor, and they will update and by itself. I will explain more about that. And another thing very important to us is related to send the detections by email. As I told you, we have another system that we use to, it's something like an ITSM that we created in the CAIS. And the sensor will detect it will detect events, and then they will send it to email to enter in the process of incident that we have in the company. So we have two analysts there that they are responsible to look for that event and understand if it's malicious or not. If it's a malicious, they will put that in the ITSM, and our clients could see the malicious activities that happen inside their network. And send statistics and send data, it's another thing that's very important to us. We would monitor all sensors that we have, so it's very important to us. And update request. Well, and some of you will ask, but how the sensor will do that? I will explain. And here is the interface. Unfortunately, we don't have the sensor in English. Sorry about that. But it's very simple. I created that in shell script and dialog. It's very simple interface. But it's enough, because what we can expect that our clients do in this sensor, they just need to make a network. They just put the network that they have here, the IP address of the sensor that we will use to maintain that, and they need to select the network pickup interface. The other things, they don't need to take care about that. It's when they does these things, the sensor does the rest by itself. Of course, after they do that, they need to restart the service because the Suricata needs to start. And how does the CAIS sensor analyze traffic? We have two ways to analyze traffic in our clients. As I told you, we have a sensor in universities, and we have a sensor in another place. Here I will explain exactly how it works nowadays, because we changed a lot this project. First of all, it's important to know the sensors. Of course, you know how it works better than me. There are many specialists here, so I don't explain a lot about that. But we have two ways to capture malicious activity. We have the point of presence in each state of Brazil, and here is what the picture explains. We have the Federal University A and Federal University B, and both then they just have they just have one output to internet that is provided by, for RNP, and all of them need to connect to the point of presence of RNP. And so we put the sensor in that router because we can see all of traffic from all of clients that we have in each state. And the problem that we have with that scenario is about sample rating. In that case, it's 1/19. And when we have a sensor inside of the federal university, we can do it 1/1. So it's better. But we identify many problems when we put this sensor in the university, because we have many problems there, like sometimes the employees changed the work and they don't send an email to us to inform the new persons that are responsible for that project. They changed the networks of the network. So it's challenge to us to deal with this situation. And nowadays we prefer to work in that scenario. We just put a sensor in the point of presence of RNP. And I explained that the sensor master made some requests to update themselves. But how it works? Well, when I created that, I think, oh, it's necessary to create something like a brain of all sensors that I called of master server. And it's in that case, is where I used in the past PHP, and now is Java. The master sensor is responsible to control all of the sensors that we have in each state of Brazil. And all communications that they did is secure, because we are using HTTPS, and each sensor has a unique ID that they use to communicate with the master. And now I explain more about how what the functions that the master has related to the sensors. And one thing important is that all sensors that we have, they send requests to the master to know exactly what they need to do. If they are with the version of the rules, okay. If they are with the version of the system, okay. And so the master is responsible. It's something like a database of all of the things, and they provide it to the sensors that we have. So one of the responsibilities of the master is to management all sensors that we have. And once the sensors are used to detect malicious activities and send it to master and to the other system. One thing important here is that sometimes the event that we identify in the Suricata is not a malicious yet. We need to investigate if it's a malicious or not. So we don't send it to the other system, the ITSM that we have. We send that just to Elasticsearch, and there are some analysts that are responsible to identify if that rule is a false positive or not, and after that, they will accept or not that information. And another thing is important is that sometimes it's not a false positive, but it's something that we are looking for to understand better. If we see that the number of the access to Tor network is increasing, it's important to know, to understand what it's happened. Of course, we will notify our clients about that because it's not a malicious. In the beginning of the investigation, it's not a malicious, it's just normal access, but it's important to understand what it's happened and if it's a malicious or not. And so we send that data to Elasticsearch to analyze. And the sensor master is responsible to update all sensors that we have. I created many scripts. I think we have about 10 scripts that are responsible to do different things related to the sensor. Update the operational system, update the networks, and I will explain more about that. Statistics and malicious activity detect, another thing very important to us is to get many information that you want related to the sensor and send that to the master. And of course, information about sensors health. As I told you, sometimes some clients, they changed the network, they changed the IP address, and they don't inform us. And we need to identify what problem we have in the sensor. So in the master sensor, it's possible to see some information like if the traffic is okay, if it's online or if it's offline. So it's the type of the thing that you can do. And final, it's as I told you, the master sensor is the brain of our system that we created. They are responsible to control everything in our engine, in our sensor. And here is the interface that, it's the new interface because that interface that I did in PHP, it's not beautiful like that. But nowadays, it's, in my opinion, it's more beautiful. And here we have the information about the month of the November. So it's possible to see that the most of that information, all that information is provided by the sensors that we have in each state. And we can see many informations here that it's very useful when the manager asked, oh, what has happened today in our network? So we can see that information to him, and in the most of the case, he liked that. And well, we have the main menu where it's possible to control many things in all sensors that we have. You can manage many things in the sensors. I will explain more about that. And here we have key information dashboard. So it's we have more information in the under, but it's not enough like that we have here. And here's the type of the, here I will explain more about the management that the master can do. Well, this feature is very important to mention, the management, because we can control everything here. It's possible, we created some types of rules, so it's possible to import, we are using the Emerging Thread Pro rules nowadays, because it's decreased the number of the false positives that we have in the past. But in the management, it's possible to create the rule, and after you create the rule, all sensors, they have in the cron of each one, they will looking for updates in the master. So we can create some, we can create rules specific that our team identify in our clients, we can put some rules about that SANS or that Suricata team provided specific type of rules. And we have another thing that's very special functionality is about the create rules filter. It's the type of the thing that I mentioned to you. Sometimes we don't need to disable the rule, but we want that rule is disabled to send that information to the ITSM, but not for the Elasticsearch. So when we set that, it's possible to do these things. And it's possible to put some, we have a service that we provide to our clients that is, we provide a web interface where every people, it's a public, where they can looking for some fraud. It's related to bank, to account, everything. And sometimes in these frauds, that it's possible to get some URL. And we put that information inside of the sensor to identify if any customers that we have is accessing that URL malicious that we identified before. And botnet IPs and system update. In my opinion, it's one of the best things that we created because here it's possible to update nowadays we are using the Ubuntu version, and it's possible to create few commands and update all sensors that we have. They will consume that information in the master, and they will apply that in the engines. Okay. Here is another screenshot about the institutions. So before we put a sensor in each institution that we have, it's important to create the institution. So the first thing you need to do is specify the name of the institution, where the acronym of that, the state of that, and the networks that they have. The networks that they have is used in the file, in the HomeNet, to fill out the IP address that they have to identify if they are malicious activities in that institution. It's very important to us because we plug that with the ITSM. So when that notification arrived in the ITSM, we know exactly which client has the malicious event, and we can send that exactly to that people. And here, there are some details, and one important thing that it's the sensor master support IPv6. So in that case, we have an institution that they are using IPv6. So it's a good thing that we do there. And another thing very important is about before you put a sensor, you need to create an institution that will receive this sensor. And after that, we will put the sensor in the institution. And in that case, you can specify many things like the IP address of the sensor, the net mask of the sensor. And here it's possible to see something that I told you, the status of the sensor. If they are online, so they are green. If they are offline, they are red. And if they are okay, if the traffic is okay or not. In the last, we have the sensor that it's online, but it doesn't have traffic. And so it's possible to understand it's normal or it's not, it's a normal. So it's possible to identify easily what has happened with our sensors. And here we have many details about the sensor that I clicked. So here it's possible to understand the version of system that they have, the rules version that they have, the exception rules that they have, how many time, uptime of that, the CPU usage, memory and hard disk, if it's okay or not. So you have a lot of information in this screenshot. And this is the implementation of the CAIS sensor V1. So we had in 2016 27 points of presence and 17 customers, 17 universities. But as I told you, we had some problems with that. So in 2017, we had 44 sensors installed. But it was a problem because, as I told you, when you put the sensor in the customers, it's very challenging to deal with that, man. It's terrible. And when we put that in the POP is, as I told you, is an arm of RNP. So we are responsible to that. Therefore, it's easy to management. And I will explain that we changed it in the version 2. And actually, nowadays we have just 2 customers. And why just 2 customers? Some of you will ask. Well, these 2 customers, they are very active. And when in the 2016, when I talked to them and explained the project, they said, okay, it's good, Rildo, I will participate of that. And so the other clients, they don't have the same behavior. And so we think that after we changed the project, because of that, they are active until now. So we prefer to keep them in that project. So it's a good thing that we created a partnership with them that was amazing. And the only problem about that we don't put more customers in the sensor network is about the sample rating, that it's not good as we wanted. But it's okay. Sometimes you can't do everything well. And here I will show some statistics about the average analyst traffic that we have in the all sensor. It's aggregated, so it's the traffic that we have during the month of the September until the beginning of the October. And it's a good thing here. It's about the falls that we have on weekends. And it can be explained because the most of our clients are federal universities. So on weekends, they don't work. So we don't have traffic. We don't have a big traffic. We don't have malicious activities. This is why we have that image different. And here Here I will explain a little more about that image that we have. It's possible to see that in the most of the cases, the case of malicious activities is incoming in our case, and it's the same situation that we have for the whole of the year. When I did this presentation, I was looking for that to see if it will represent the whole year, and it's okay. Our clients suffered a lot of attacks. They don't do the most malicious activity. And the most, for us in that month, the most attacked ports are 53 DNS and 56 and 445 SMB that use it to share files, printer, and sometimes malwares too. Top talkers in the final is an important thing to know which state of Brazil is reporting more activity than the other. So it's a good thing to know exactly the sensor is reporting more. And to finalizing, I will show some statistics that we have there about the main types of malicious activities detected during the September. We have a lot of denial of service attacks related to the SNP protocol. We have many infected hosted because it's an academic network. Sometimes it doesn't represent the real. Sometimes it's just a research. But we have many different. We have a difficult to deal with that in academic network. And attack attempts related to protocol RDP. And unfortunately, we have some violation of the usage policy access to exact sites, unfortunately. When universities, they request to ingress in the RDP, they need to sign a policy that they will respect it. And when they don't respect that, we send that message that its activity is not allowed. And we have many roasts that is related to the infected that minor cryptocurrency too. And here is just to show you that in academic network we have a large environment of malwares. And so it's the type of the thing that we have there. We have Configure, and Configure is, I think it's established, it was created in 2009, and we had there. It's incredible for me. And WannaCry, another of malicious malwares that we have there. And the most of them we capture with using Suricata. So Suricata to us, it's amazing because before that, we don't have a tool by ourselves that detects malicious activities in our clients. And the next steps to finalize is optimize to dashboards. We need to create more dashboards to attend our manager. And nowadays, I use Kibana, so I get the data in the Elasticsearch, and I use Kibana to create the dashboards more beautiful than before. And we would like to integrate with other sources to detect more malicious activities. And one challenge that I am talking with someone here is that our network is big, and we have a challenge to migrate our sensors to use ports above 10 gigabits on routers. It's a big challenge that we are thinking about how we will deal with that. And we would like to expand this project to another CSIRT, to another community. We would like to share what we created in a long time ago. And finally, I really appreciate your time here, and thank you again for the invite that I received. It's a great pleasure to me to stay here. And I would like to say thank you to the other members of the team that unfortunately they didn't come here, Andressa Saori and Marcos Antonio. They are responsible to support this tool and that tool and to improve that. And thank you.
Can you, yeah. So about the sensor master, is it how you call it?
Can you repeat?
The sensor master, that's the how you call it. How do you protect it? Because to me it looks in a supply chain attack the right point to attack to get then all the Suricata in all Brazil and then all the networks infected.
Okay. Well, the sensor master nowadays it's not a public. We protect them. It's in a private network that only the sensors has access. So as I told you, we have in this picture. Let me show that. We have some features that can increase the security.
We do not see on the big screen.
Oh, sorry. Wait a minute, please. We have that. Oh, my God. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. We have that. So I guarantee that the only sensor with the unique key can access and can make requests to the master. And the master is not in a public environment, it's in a private network that is restricted to the IP address that I have in the sensors.
If I understood correctly, how do you update rules? You update rules on the master, and then they are pushed or pulled from all the sensors. So you are not a sensor. So how do you push the new rules on the master server?
Well, I created some rules, some firewall rules that the only way to get to the master, the only communication is to master to sensors and to sensors to master. It's impossible to access the master with another way. And in each sensor, I have IP tables firewall that is allowed just to clients that I specify. I don't know if I can make. Okay, thank you.
When you detect some malicious activity in some of the endpoints, how do folks handle that? What do they do?
Well, when we detected the malicious activities, as I told you, we send in the endpoint, we send that information to the ITSM, and in ITSM we have the owners are responsible of that IP address. And sometimes it's possible to identify exactly which IP address, which equipment is using that IP address, but sometimes it's not easy to identify. But we try to do the best. We try to help our clients because the solution that I mentioned, the ITSM, we have a chat inside of that we can help our clients.
With regard to the network, do you manage to capture the traffic before network address translation or after network address translation? By that I mean, do you see the endpoint, or do you have just the IP of a gateway from your customer?
Yes, it's a very difficult to deal. As I told you before, it's the type of the thing that we can try to do the best, but it's a very challenge to know exactly. But we can try to do something, as I told you, we can try to get all information that we have and try to send that information to our clients and to help them to identify exactly which are the equipment, the roast. Okay.